What up, y'all? This is your boy, Mr. Downtown Ray Melo, and you're listening to the Entertainment Report for Friday, May 1st, 2015, delivering some major stories and trends going on in the world of entertainment and beyond. You can follow the show on Facebook or on Twitter, facebook.com/The Entertainment Report with Ray Melo. That's RAYMELO, or on Twitter at The Enter Report. You can listen to the show anytime you want on iHeartRadio. Just go to iHeart.com, search for The Entertainment Report, and it'll take you to our page. The Billboard Latin Music Awards brought in the best in the music business to Miami on Thursday night as the industry stars were honored at the Bank United Center. The biggest winner of the night was Enrique Iglesias with 9 awards, including for Latin Pop Album of the Year, Sex and Love, and Romeo Santos, who took home 10 awards to seal his title of most nominated artist in the history of the Billboard Latin Music Awards. Airing live on Telemundo, the ceremony honored the most popular albums, songs, and performers in Latin music, and the winners were determined by the actual sales, radio airplay, streaming, and social data that informs Billboard's weekly charts over a year. Boasting more than 100 million likes on Facebook, Shakira was crowned the Social Artist of the Year. Meanwhile, Latin music icons Carlos Santana and Roberto Carlos, who were recognized with the Spirit of Hope Award and the Lifetime Achievement Award, respectively, according to Billboard.com. But although she wasn't nominated for any awards, Jennifer Lopez was brought to tears during an emotional tribute to late singer Selena at the Billboard Latin Music Awards. Booty singer pulled off the most touching moment of the night as she performed Selena's hit Como La Flor, while footage of the Queen of Tejano music played in the background. Dressed in a dazzling crop top with jeweled pants to match Selena's iconic style, J-Lo belted out the classic track before amping up the energy with Bitty Bitty Bam Bam. She went on to sing Amor Prohibido, I Could Have Fallen in Love, and No Me Quieras Más. Lopez was joined on stage for the moving tribute by Selena's sisters Suzette and A.B. and her husband Chris Perez, Los Dinos, who played in her band. It is not the first time that Lopez has honored the Grammy winner singer who was murdered 20 years ago, having starred in the movie biopic about her life. It marked Lopez's breakout acting role despite the film initially being criticized for casting a New York City native born to Puerto Rican parents rather than a Texan or of Mexican descent. In April, it was announced that Selena was releasing a new record and going on tour in the form of a hologram, sparking mixed responses from fans. Selena the One will make a comeback in 2018, according to her official Facebook page. Selena was shot and killed on March 31st, 1995, at the age of 23 by Yolanda Saldivar, her friend and the founder of Selena's fan club. Baltimore State Attorney Marilyn Mosby announced on Friday that Freddie Gray's death was a homicide, saying there was probable cause to file charges against 6 officers involved in the 25-year-old's arrest and death on April 12. Gray was arrested legally and fatally injured as a result of being unrestrained and shackled in a police van, Mosby said. She also said a knife Gray was carrying wasn't illegal. Gray requested medical assistance but was ignored, Mosby said. Charges include second-degree murder, involuntary manslaughter, assault in the second degree, secondary manslaughter, and more. A warrant has been issued for the officer's arrest Friday morning. Mosby said, I assure his family has no one is above the law and that I would pursue justice on their behalf. She also added, from the very beginning, we knew that this was a serious case, explaining that from the beginning her office had independently investigated instead of just relying on the police. Mosby took questions but didn't reveal her opinion on the case. She asked for peaceful protests going forward. Mosby also says she has no conflict as far as her husband being a Baltimore politician. Freddie Gray's death has sparked mass riots and protests for a week in Baltimore while attracting wall-to-wall cable news coverage. Fox News, MSNBC, and CNN have all had anchors and reporters on the ground in Baltimore covering the news as it develops. Of course, some of the cable news personalities have become the news, namely the usual suspects who tend to attract headlines in these breaking stories, such as CNN's Don Lemon and Fox News' Geraldo Rivera, among others. In a related story, Morgan Freeman, Academy Award-winning actor, has strong words for the media on Baltimore's coverage and called networks out for zooming in on places like Baltimore only when they see fire. Fuck the media, he told the Daily Beast in an interview published Thursday and complained about the big 3 cable network bias. He said, look at NBC News, MSNBC News, Fox News, and CNN. Go between those 3. There's a take, and there's a take. It's just commentary. CNN wants to be pure news, but the others are just commentary. They're just commenting on things. On Baltimore's coverage, Freeman says the media's been better than the very one-sided Ferguson coverage. He said now they're getting more on the whole picture. Ferguson? No. Baltimore seems to be coming up with a different scenario in the background. He also added people are saying, you were all not there when we were just talking and trying to make a point, but if we were we set something on fire, all of a sudden you're all here. Why is that? What's the difference? And some young reporters are listening. That sort of observation is very useful. The movie star also credited technology with revealing the critical behind-the-scenes details happening between police and African Americans. He said, police have a standard reaction to shooting somebody. I fear for my life and I fear for my safety. Now at least you can see, hey, his hands were up in the air. What part of your safety were you afraid of? The guy was running away. What part of your safety was in danger? There was one situation I saw where a cop told a guy to get out of the car and said, show me your driver's license, and the guy reached back in the car and the cop shot him. All of the news Freeman mentioned has been covering the Baltimore riots wall-to-wall since Monday, dispersing anchors and reporters into the middle of the riots. Larry Wilmore broke bread, or more accurately ate pie, with members from rival Baltimore gangs for Thursday's nightly show, submitting a pretty interesting, surprisingly deep, and occasionally humorous, uncensored conversation. As the gang members spoke about the community's general unrest and to clarify what the mainstream medium is referring to a truce between the Crips and the Bloods, the Comedy Central host explained property taxes and offered up that Speaker of the House of Representatives, John Bonner, is an asshole. Somehow the topic came to the Daily Show host Jon Stewart and whether or not his was in Charm City during the riots. Wilmore said with a smile, Jon Stewart is not here. Trust me, he is nowhere to be found in this scenario. There was definitely some positivity to come out of the riots, and several of the gang members preached hope, calmness, and patience when the Freddie Gray verdict came down. The most important question came at the end of the segment, though, when the nightly show host got the dinner bill and asked, are we splitting the 6 ways? Geraldo Rivera got into a second screaming match in Baltimore Thursday night, calling protesters anarchists and thugs. Rivera screamed at his protester, what's your problem? What's your problem? You're only brave when the cameras turn. You're an anarchist. You're an anarchist. You're nothing. You ain't nothing. Rivera continued that when the cameras gets on the protesters, they all act brave. He was then confronted by a man wearing a helmet. He said, why is there so much hostility from all the locals towards you? Rivera shot back at that these aren't locals. They're, quote, professional anarchists. Rivera added towards a protester he was looking at, that's a thug right there. That's a white thug right there. The tension between Rivera and protesters come after a Tuesday night clash with a Fox News personality clashed with the protester who was standing in the way of his camera shot. Jon Stewart took a break from the news on Thursday's Daily Show to pay tribute to departing senior correspondent Samantha Bee. Stewart said, we needed a correspondent. We looked in all the usual places, your liquor store, your betting parlors, your methadone clinics. Obviously, Google Maps was in the nascent stage. We took a wrong turn. We ended up in Canada, and we found this just delightful, incredibly funny person, Sam Bee. Stewart then played a collection of some of Bee's best segments from her almost 12 years on the show. She covered the Republican National Convention in 2004, asking one delegate, have you had a hot Carl since you've been here? Bee also did a story about Medicare coverage for certain sexual devices. During the segment from March 2014, Bee managed to get a penis pump stuck in on her cheek. Stewart said some Daily Show trivia, of all of our correspondents, Sam was the only third correspondent to ever get her face stuck in a penis pump. Stewart ended the segment by bringing a tearful Bee out onto the stage. Though hard to hear, he seemed to tell her, you're the best. Bee is leaving The Daily Show to host her own satirical series, which she will executive produce for TBS alongside husband Jason Jones. Bee and her husband have another upcoming TBS project, family comedy starring Jones, that will debut in the fourth quarter of this year. That 10-episode order also stars Natalie Zia from Justified, Ashley Geramasovich from Louie, and Liam Carroll from The Neighbors. Music sharing service Groove Shark announced on Thursday that it was shutting down after 10 years. The controversial free streaming site, which once boasted 35 million users, is in the midst of a series of copyright infringement lawsuits with record companies for failing to receive permission for hosting music. Escape Media, the parent company of the infringing group's Shark Music service, has agreed to a legal settlement with the major record companies that includes the termination of all operations, wiping its computer servers of all the record company's musics, and surrounding ownership of its website, mobile apps, and intellectual property, according to a statement from trade organizations Recording Industry Association of America, which represents the labels Sony, Universal, and Warner Brothers. A statement on the Groove Shark website said, "We started out nearly 10 years ago with the goal of helping fans share and discover music, but despite the best of our intentions, we made a very serious mistakes. We failed to secure licenses for rights holders for the vast amount of music on the service. That was wrong. We apologize." Groove Shark now urges users to sign up for legal licensed music services such as Spotify and Beats Music. The Recording Industry Association of America states that Groove Shark's founders, Sam Tarantino and Josh Greenberg, acknowledge operating an infringing site and that the Escape Media Group agreed to, quote, significant financial penalties if the terms of the settlements were not followed. The RIAA said, "This is an important victory for the artists and the entire music industry. For too long, Groove Shark built its business without properly compensating the artists, songwriters, and everyone else who make great music possible. The settlement ends a major source of infringing activity." Last week, a judge rules that Groove Shark's copyright violations on nearly 5,000 songs were willful and made in bad health, and told jurors they can choose to award the statutory maximum of $150,000 in damages per song. WikiLeaks has added thousands of hacked Sony emails to its database, it announced Thursday. The tweet said, with the link to the new emails, new WikiLeaks Sony search now has thousands of additional Sony emails. The latest round of emails comes 2 weeks after WikiLeaks released over 173,000 emails and 30,000 documents. On April 16th, Editor-in-Chief Julian Assange says that the emails, quote, belong in the public domain. WikiLeaks will ensure it stays there. One of the biggest takeaways from the previous round of leaks was the revelation that Ben Affleck requests PBS host of Know Your Roots, Henry Louis Gates, to delete the fact that Affleck's family owned slaves. Gates reached out to Sony chief Michael Linton for advice. The Harvard scholar said in an email chain from July 2014, "For the first time, one of our guests has asked us to edit out something about one of his ancestors." Linton advised Gates to honor Affleck's requests. Gates did so, and then when the email chain was leaked, brushback ensued. PBS opened an ongoing investigation into the matter, and days after the email was revealed, Affleck apologized. He said, he wrote on April 21st, "I didn't want any television show about my family to include a guy who owned slaves. I was embarrassed. The very thought left a bad taste in my mouth." Sony issued a statement that when the rounds of leaks were released, saying, "We vehemently disagree with WikiLeaks' assertion that this material belongs in the public domain, and we will continue to fight for the safety, security, and privacy of our company and its more than 6,000 employees." It was a War of the Morning show hosts on Thursday's episode of Lip Sync Battle, when today's Hoda Kotb took on Michael Strahan from Live with Michael and Kelly. Clearly needing a glass of wine to ease her nerves, Hoda first unleashed an energetic version of Sir Mix-a-Lot's gem, "Baby Got Back," revealing at the end of the song that she was scared before taking the stage. She said, "Oh my God, my heart is pounding." With a Super Bowl ring to his name, NFL star Strahan doesn't suffer from pre-game nerves and was cool as a cucumber for a grinding rendition of London Bridge by Fergie, even cutting the cake, as host LL Cool J bluntly put it. After rehearsing with Tequila, Hoda got her groove on with Uptown Funk by Mark Ronson and Bruno Mars, but her preparation was no match for Strahan's lip sync battle training camp, reading that his secret weapon was bad breath. He told his friend, "Get your funk out of their tongue. The love is still there, but it's on pause because I've got to take you out." The weapon of his destruction was poisoned by Velvet DeVoe, performing in a multicolored jacket and with the full hip-hop crew backing him up. Surprisingly, the former New York Giants defensive end didn't get a win to another championship, and Hoda took home the big prize. Lip Sync Battle airs Thursdays at 10 p.m. on Spike. Spoiler: The first episode of Grey's Anatomy in the post-Patrick Dempsey era was filled with tears, mourning, and more shocking Shondaland twists and a surprise newborn baby. After Meredith Grey, played by Ellen Pompeo, had the worst day of her life last week when husband Derek Shepherd died, she then had to tell her Seattle Grey's colleagues about the fatal tractor-trailer crash that killed McDreamy on Thursday's 2-hour special on ABC. The new widow walked into the break room in a dreamlike state as her fellow surgeons were going about their daily grind and delivered the crushing news in 3 words: Derek is dead. Next, Owen, played by Kevin McKidd, had the grim task of telling his sister, Amelia Shepherd, played by Katerina Scorzione, who immediately knew from his face that someone had died. She said, holding back her feelings, "I don't need the details. Dead is dead. I've done this before. I know the drill. It's not a big deal." A slow-motion shot of the funeral showed friends and family saying the last goodbyes to Derek, with Meredith sitting still as a stone after the service struggled to cope with the loss. Bailey, played by Chandra Wilson, told Ben afterwards, "If something happens to me, don't let them hook me up to anything. Just donate my organs and let me go." He disagreed and wanted to be kept alive at all costs, sparking an ongoing debate between them, culminating in Bailey deciding that if Ben ends up in a coma, then she gets to sleep with Idris Elba. Life at Seattle Grey's soon fell back into its usual routine, dealing with medical emergencies and personal crises. Meredith packed up her children and jumped ship, leaving just a note behind. As the time fast forward over a series of several months and numerous milestone holidays since the tragic accident, Meredith is shown talking to the ghost of her mother, Ellis Grey, and having flashbacks of Derek. While she's living in the past for much of this week's episode, viewers are brought back to the present with a jolt through a time jump that revealed she was pregnant before Derek's death, and after a miscarriage scare, she gives birth to a new daughter, Ellis. She told Alex, "I didn't think I could do it. Part of me thought, what if I have this baby and die?" She told Alex, played by Justin Chambers, who was in her emergency contact, came to visit her at the maternity ward. "Then I saw her face and I saw him and her. She is beautiful." Meredith and her now 3 children finally returned to the home she shared with Derek, while a melancholy version of Snow Patrol's Chasing Cars played as a soundtrack to her life as a single mom. The Avengers: The Age of Ultron made box office history Thursday night, zooming into $27.6 million and shattering the record for the biggest midnight haul ever for a Marvel superhero movie. It eclipsed the $18.7 million taken in by the original Avengers in 2012, though it had an advantage that in its early showings began at 7 p.m. and the first film started at midnight. It could be the first in a slew of records that will fall to Disney's Marvel superhero sequel this weekend, including the $207.4 million opening weekend mark set by the blockbuster's first film. The $3 million it took from the IMAX theaters was also a record, and The Age of Ultron sped fast $300 million at the worldwide box office in the process. Since opening just over a week ago, it has taken in $318 million globally, with $287.3 million coming from overseas. Its $6.8 million opening day in Mexico Thursday was the biggest ever in that market. So far, the leading territories for Age of Ultron are South Korea with $37.2 million, the UK with $35.9 million, and Russia with $20.9 million. The Thursday night debut of Age of Ultron is the fifth best ever in North America, behind Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2 at $43.5 million, Dark Knight Rises with $30.6 million, and the 2 Twilight movies, Breaking Dawn Part 1, which made $30.3 million, and Eclipse, which made $30.1 million, according to Box Office Mojo. It wasn't just fanboys who fueled the record debut. The audience for the $250 million Age of Ultron was 60% male and 55% over the age of 25, Disney said. The IMAX record, topping the $2.3 million taken in by The Dark Knight Rises, was one of the several premium options that made up 44% of the grosses Thursday night. Screening in 3D delivered 24%, IMAX was 12%, and premier large format theaters provided 8%. Tracking has Age of Ultron debuting at between $190 million and $200 million in the U.S., and analysts said it could do even better. Josh Whedon returns as writer and director of Age of Ultron, as does the ensemble cast topped by Robert Downey Jr., who plays Iron Man, Chris Hemsworth, who plays Thor, Mark Ruffalo, who plays the Hulk, Chris Evans, who plays Captain America, Scarlett Johansson, who plays the Black Widow, and Jeremy Renner, who plays Hawkeye. Aaron Taylor Johnson and Elizabeth Olsen joined the cast as Quicksilver and the Scarlet Witch. And finally, here's the top 10 songs in the Billboard Hot 100 singles charts for the week of May 9th. And number 10 is Jason Derulo with Want to Want Me. Number 9, Flo Rida featuring Sage Gemini and Lucas with the song GDFR. Number 8, Ed Sheeran with Thinking Out Loud. Number 7, Walk the Moon with Shut Up and Dance. Number 6, Ellie Goulding with Love Me Like You Do. Number 5, Maroon 5 with Sugar. Number 4, The Weeknd with Earn It from the 50 Shades of Grey soundtrack. Number 3, Fetty Wap with Trap Queen. Number 2, Mark Ronson featuring Bruno Mars with Uptown Funk. And for the third week in a row, the number 1 song in the country on Billboard's Hot 100 singles charts is See You Again by Wiz Khalifa featuring Charlie Puth. And that is your entertainment report for Friday, May 1st, 2015. I'm your host, Mr. Downtown Ray Melo. I'll be back on Monday to deliver some of the major stories and trends going on in the world of entertainment and beyond. You can follow the show on Facebook or on Twitter, facebook.com/The Entertainment Report with Ray Melo. That's RAYMELO. Or on Twitter at The Enter Report. You can listen to this episode or any previous episodes of The Entertainment Report on iHeartRadio. Just go to iHeart.com and search for The Entertainment Report, and it'll take you to the page. Have a great weekend, everybody. I will see you again on Monday. Bye.